What are the things you need to consider when you're sourcing physical products from China? This is a two-part video series where I'm going through the ins and outs when it comes to product sourcing from China. So hit a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to get the two-part video series. Okay, but hey, let's talk about sourcing. So making more money on purchasing. And there's a saying that, the money is made on purchasing and not on selling. And that's pretty spot on. So this is going to be a two-part presentation regarding sourcing. But one thing that I really want to emphasize is that there's just so many different things we can do to improve our supply chain and sourcing and that kind of stuff. But we need to consider that what is the states that we are doing it and what is really the end goal that we want to have. So this is why I divide it into two different things. So states number one is product validation. So when we are in the process of we're just starting out and we just want to validate the product idea, the product opportunity as quickly as possible, then we shouldn't spend that much time in negotiations with suppliers and building the best possible supply chain and optimizing this and that thing. And who cares about that if the product actually fails, right? So at this stage, it is essential that we make sure that the product idea we are taking to the market is actually a good one. So we need to get the feedback as quickly as possible. So that's why I'm always saying that the first batch is not about me making profit. First batch, first order from the supplier is all about really making sure that the product idea is good, the quality is good, and the response from the market is good. Really making sure that the research we did beforehand for the product is accurate. And then after we have done this, after we have really validated the product idea, then we can move on to the second stage in sourcing, and which is all about profitability. It's all about it's not all about it's not about getting increasing profitability at the cost of everything. No, it's just about doing many things we can do in order to really optimize our profitability and making our supply chains more solid and so on. So at this stage, we are spending time in negotiating. We are spending time in putting more due diligence when it regards to suppliers and so on. And this actually takes time. But if we do this too early, when we just we are not sure about the product idea, then what can actually happen is that we spend so much time in negotiating and really making sure that the profitability is there, that the suppliers are good. But then at the end, if it just turns out that, the market doesn't really want this product, or the product opportunity is not that great, then what happens then? Then, we are going to be we are not going to be ordering more of that product, so we're just going to stop selling it and we are going to be moving to the next product. So it might actually mean that we spend all that time, weeks and months for nothing, because we want to get the information about the validity of the product idea, product opportunity as quickly as possible. This is super important to understand. So does it make sense to everyone? So what I'm talking about here, you need to understand that at which stage you are. It is important to consider all these questions that I'm going to give you. I mean, you should definitely use those when you even when you're just launching your first product, and even when you're just talking with your first supplier. I mean, these are because we need to do due diligence on the suppliers, so we are not getting scammed or anything like this. But we have to do it in such a manner that we keep moving. So it's all about speed, and it's all about getting the first sale as quickly as possible. So let me know in the chat if this makes sense, and if you have any questions regarding these two different status. But I mean, quality must always be in place, because we cannot release anything that is of low quality, because that will just destroy our success when selling on Amazon. So we cannot sell any low quality items on Amazon. And when we are sourcing products, we must understand that quality is subjective. So good quality in the Western countries like US is a completely different thing than good quality in China, for example, because it's more subjective, that good quality for what is the purpose. So that's something that we need to keep in mind, and it's a really like vague term. So if we tell a supplier that, yeah, we want to get high quality, it doesn't really mean anything. But yeah, one of the things that we need to understand is that, I mean, there's different areas for different products on China. I mean, there's different areas are just focused on different categories, like there's areas for furniture, rubber, stainless steel, sweaters, wine products, magnesium, toys, shoes, and stuff like this. So this is important to understand, because when we are taking a look at where is this factory located, or then I mean, if it's located in some other place than where the like central area also is for this category, then it's a bit suspicious, right? So we need to carefully consider that where is it actually located. And one thing I remember one of the suppliers that we were using like for one of our first products. So it was just some supplier that we found from Alibaba, and I mean, big factories are not in Alibaba. I mean, from Alibaba we usually find just like trading agents or really like small businesses. So one of the things, I mean, when we send our quality inspection company there, they were like asking that, I mean, is this address correct? Because I mean, this address, I mean, the location of this so-called supplier, I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere, so it's gonna take like whole day to get there. So that, of course, that immediately, I mean, it was evident for this quality inspection company that, I mean, this is not a real supplier. It's just some like small business. So that was kind of evident that they are not really specialized in this category. So it's really, when we really want to like build a long-term relationship with supplier, we want to make sure that the supplier is actually specialized in this given category. Like I mentioned, like Alibaba, I mean, most people start from Alibaba, and that's fine. But we still need to understand that, I mean, no supplier, no big factories, I mean, none of them are present in Alibaba. So if it's a question that, okay, fine, if we don't use Alibaba, then what do we use? I mean, we've been using like this 1688 for years. But the thing is that, I mean, it's all in Chinese. But I mean, nowadays it's just so easier to, I mean, translate everything to English. So that's really not an issue. So here's a bunch of different options where to source from China. And like I mentioned, it's fine to use like Alibaba in the beginning and really in the first batch to really get things moving quickly. But I mean, as soon as we want to start optimizing the supply chain and we want to start increasing the profitability, then it's really important that we are going to look further. But yeah, I mean, then we're going to be pretty much like using WeChat. So I mean, just forget about Skype and whatever. I mean, usually, I mean, in China, it's all about WeChat, and it's about having like it's good to have like video calls with the suppliers and really build yourself like a good website and have like a business email, so you actually look like a real business instead of just someone who's just trying out to sell on Amazon. And I mean, keep it really brief. We give a bunch of templates for you to what you can use. So they make use of those. I mean, but always like customize these emails. But I mean, don't write this long novel to these suppliers. Just keep it brief and straight to the point. That what is actually that you're asking. And then we are also like present you this. I mean, one reason to do this like perfect product blueprint is that you also can use it to get this checklist for this quality inspection. So that's I mean, this product blueprint is pretty much like the backbone for everything. So it's one thing that we can also use it is for like doing quality inspection. If you're talking about like Alibaba and different like badges there, like gold verified, I mean, it doesn't really mean anything, because I mean, those can be really bought. Those can be like manipulated. And it's the same thing as like sellers might manipulate like Amazon. It's a similar way that these players in Alibaba can also manipulate the platform. So they can do like fraudulent sales to twist their numbers and do all sorts of stuff like that. I mean, it's pretty much like Wild West. So don't trust anything you actually see there. But when we consider that supplier to work with, we really should consider that, I mean, how can we work with the supplier long term? So what do we actually need to have in place in order to have a long-term relationship? So what do you think? I mean, what are some of the things that need to be in place when we want to build a long-term relationship with the supplier? So, I mean, one key question is definitely like how well the supplier really understands the needs that we have. I mean, we want them to be really specialized in this niche, in this category. But the thing is that it has to be really easy to communicate with them. I mean, they have to be responsive, because if we send them a message and I mean, we don't hear anything back for days, then I mean, it's going to be pretty difficult relationship. So that's why we really want to, I mean, do these like background checks to really due diligence on the suppliers, that they really are what they claim to be, and they really have specialty on this area as they if they claim to have that. So is it really a manufacturer or a supplier who specializes in this product? So that's why we want to take a look at the business license. So this is an example of a Chinese business sample, Chinese business license. So we can see different information here, like codes and the registered capital. And pretty much the thing is that we should always ask this, and then we just double check that it's actually accurate. So questions that we can use in order to do this is that, okay, I mean, first of all, I mean, this is pretty obvious that, okay, how long has the factory been in business? So how long have they been doing this? And then we just ask a copy of the business license, and we need to make sure that everything they mentioned there actually is true. And so what are the primary product lines that they offer? And how many people are employed by the supplier? And how many of the employees work in the manufacturing sector? Because it's a completely different thing if they say that, okay, yeah, we have 100 people, and but yeah, I mean, 90 people. No, I mean, we have only 5 people working at the manufacturing part. That's a huge, I mean, that's a huge difference whether they actually have, whether those people are working with sales or marketing and those kind of things, or if they're actually working on manufacturing the products themselves, and what kind of equipment do they own, and where is this equipment like coming from, where is the origin, and do they have current like catalog of products that they are manufacturing. And one actually good thing about like when you build this long-term relationship with supplier is that, I mean, usually they are going to be I mean pretty much always they offer other products that they are doing, and if they are really specialized in this category, if they are really specialized in this niche, then that means that it's actually something that could probably fit your brand pretty well, because I mean it's the same niche, right? So many of our products that we have launched is that it's actually something that that the supplier either like originally suggested, or it's something that we just saw from their catalog, and then we did this research on Amazon and saw that, yeah, I mean, it might be a pretty good opportunity to try it out and sell. And it doesn't mean that it's always like that the numbers are perfect or like anything like this. No, I mean, often the case is that it's just so low effort in order to launch these products and just to test it out. And if it takes off, then great. But I mean, if it doesn't take off, then I mean, we are going to be at minimum going to be breaking even with the new product. So when we do it like this way, I mean, we have never lost money. But yes, I mean, this is really important, that from which port will this ship, or which port is the nearest. And like I mentioned, this one supplier that was in middle of nowhere, then I mean, because I mean they were not near pretty much any port, because it was pretty much like in the middle of it was like middle of like eastern part of China and far away from any port. So it was really a hassle to get the goods from there, and it actually added cost to shipping. But if we are working with this like high I mean really legit suppliers, then I mean usually they have all this stuff already like optimized. They are not going to be located like in the middle of nowhere. They are actually going to be located in very like convenient location where it's easy to like get the goods and handle the shipping and logistics and so on. So then, I mean, export license. Who is familiar with export license? So it means that they just have this license to pretty much like the name says, they can export the goods out of China. So we want to ask them that, okay, do you have an export license for your business? And if they say no, I mean, it's not a deal breaker, because sometimes actually in many cases the situation is that they are just like focused and specialized on manufacturing, and they are not doing any export. They are just focused on really only like manufacturing the product, and they use like other parties for the export. So I mean, it's not a problem, but this is something that we definitely have to know. We need to know this before making any orders. Then quality control. The quantity and location are crucial. So what happens for if you actually get like issues, if there's like defective items and so on? And at which points do they actually take, what kind of like quality control process they have? And in terms of like sales that they are doing, like how many sales are they doing domestically in China and then like internationally? Then we want to know that which markets are they like focused on? Is it US, Europe, or something else? Like what is their primary export target market? And what proportion of the products go to US and the European Union? So this, what does it, why do we ask this, and what does it tell us? And first of all, it gives us the picture of like what is their expertise on like serving international customers. Because let's say that if they are only doing like domestically, well, then it's a bit of a danger in that area, that because they might not be accustomed to really understanding the like Western customers, and that can be a really big like red flag. And then knowledge of export standards, like are they familiar with the rules and tests that are relevant to the product in the market? And especially like when importing products, it's really crucial that that they already have experience in knowing about different tolls and so on. And like last year, I did this presentation regarding these different ID numbers. Like for example, when you're importing to US, and it's really important that we are using the right IDs and the right categories, because that can actually mean difference, quite significant difference in amount of the fees that we are paying. And in some cases, we might actually don't need to pay any fees. But I mean, we shouldn't rely on the information that the Chinese suppliers actually give us, because in those cases, we really want to make sure that we get the information like someone who is working with that target market like every single day. For example, like freight forwarders and so on, who are located in that target market. So US, Europe, and so on. And then, okay, if they're really like a legit like supplier, like have you recently been to any trade shows? So, and which ones? Because that gives us information that, okay, they are actively like participating in these trade shows and being really doing more things than just being like a one-time thing. And actually, the thing that we want to avoid is that we want to make sure that it's actually not a trading agent, and it actually is like a legit supplier. And there's nothing bad about using a trading agent, but then we need to know that this is a middleman instead of a real supplier. And if they are claiming to be a supplier, but they are really trading agent, then that's a huge red flag. Like, okay, they are pretty much like lying to us. And in many cases, I mean, for some products, we are actually using the trading agent over the supplier. And why is that? It's because the trading agent gives us much better like customer service and customer like experience than the supplier. Like, I mean, we have been working with one trading agent, I don't know, already like six years or something like this, and we have not switched over to the original like supplier that they are using, this trading agent, because I mean, they are just so easy to work with. They go like beyond and far and beyond, really like making sure our needs are met. And whenever there's issues, they really like make sure to fix all those issues and make sure that it won't happen again. So we are using this trading agent because the whole experience is just so much better. So even if someone is a trading agent, it doesn't mean that we will not use them, but we definitely have to know it. Yes. And then other questions. Okay, do you have a bill of materials for the product? And what is like created in-house and what is created, like what is subcontracted? So is it like 100% done in-house and homemade, or this is something that we definitely need to know? If they are like subcontracting like large parts, then that also means that, I mean, we cannot really do any new product development. And that also means that they will have dependency to other suppliers. So that's going to increase this complexity. Then, I mean, what are the terms of payment? I mean, this is this is the most important question, right? Like, how are we? How are the payments handled? Because this has immediate or like direct impact on our cash flow. And I mean, the typical starting point for is this like 30-70? So when you order stuff, then you pay the 30%, and the remaining you're going to be paying like once items are shipped. But I mean, that's just the like starting point. You can really get like creative in coming up with all these different ways of handling the payments, because and that's one of the reasons that why we want to build this long-term relationship, because we have had just so many cases that, I mean, we are already selling the item on Amazon, and we haven't actually paid. We have paid just like something like 10% for the supplier for that batch. And how can that happen? Well, it comes with trust. So they know that we are going to be paying. They're paying the we are good for the payment, and so you can really come up with different ways. But I mean, if you're just starting out with this supplier, I mean, trust is something that we have to like build. So obviously, I mean, we cannot really start giving like crazy demands when we are just starting out. Well, I mean, when we are just ordering the first batch. Then, I mean, payment methods, and then contracts. What kind of contracts are there? And typically, I mean, always do contracts when you're starting out with a supplier. I mean, that pretty much goes without saying, right? And what kind of testing certificates do they have? And that is something that Amazon will ask as well. I mean, it depends on the product category and so on, but especially like for example, some of our students have been selling these like different kinds like pesticides, and I mean that category is full of different certificates and licenses and all that stuff. So we need to get this from the supplier. So we have to ask it already at this stage when we can still like impact it. So we need to make sure that, first of all, they provide these certificates, and then secondly, that it is correct information, that it actually lists their company in the certificate and not some other company. Then, I mean, samples. I mean, can they actually send us samples? And typically they are without any cost. So if they are asking us to pay for every single sample, then that's kind of odd. That's kind of like why? Because typically, I mean, sure, I mean, they might ask something for the shipping, but usually samples do not cost anything. Hit a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you like this topic. And make sure to check out the second part of this video series on how to source products from China. And we actually have a close group where we discuss pretty much everything related to this topic. So if you would like to get access to this group, then just comment group and we will add you there. See you at the group.